start out, we're going to do a little example of a cage match. Are you ready to do a cage match?
Oh, absolutely. Let's check it out.
Financial planner versus financial personality on television. So me versus, I think it's Dave Ramsey and some other guy. Or maybe it's just Dave. So right. We'll do it. That's right.
Dave versus Duncan.
That's right. Nerds in the cage. I'm going to financial plan them so hard as children will be born accountants.
Monique is with us to start off this hour in Los Angeles. Hi, Monique. How are you?
Hi, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Okay, I'm calling because I've finished baby step 1.
Yep.
Save my $1,000 summer emergency fund, and I'm trying to step into baby step 2, but I'm nervous because I'm such a saver. So I've been able to save about $26,000.
How much?
$26,000.
$26,000. Great. Okay. In what? Just in a savings account?
Yes, it's just in my general savings account. And I have about $48,000 in debt, so 14 comes from my car, and about 34 comes from student debt. And I know I have the money to pay off the car, but I guess I'm just trying to figure out how do I step into that. I'm just so nervous about spending any of the money just because I want to use it as like a safety net in case anything happens. But I do know I need to hear it because get step 2 and just go for it.
Gotcha. Are you single?
Yes.
And what do you make a year?
$71,000.
Good for you. Well done. What do you do for a living?
I'm a counselor.
Okay, good. Good. Well, if you keep doing, counselor, you know this, what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. If you believe that, then when you're talking to one of the people you're counseling about trying a different behavior pattern, a different way to solve a problem than they've used before, but it's scary because they've never done it before. How do they get past that? How do you help somebody get past that?
I just pretty much tell them what's their end goal. And I know my end goal is to be debt-free. So
Why do you want to be debt-free?
Because there's a lot of things that I want to do, and I want to start eventually setting up for a house because I'm getting around that time, and so I can't do that if I have this car loan just sitting there and I have this money not really doing anything, and if I pay off my debts and I have more to invest, and then, to be
why would you want to invest more?
Just for my retirement and also be able to put some more stash away to get a down payment from a house.
Okay. So I actually...
All right, so I'm already going to guess I'm going to guess that he's probably going to tell her that her why is not strong enough.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. So, Lacey commenting on the side of the ring. What's Dave going to counter with? What's his opening strategy?
I think his opening strategy is to have her understand that her why isn't strong enough to motivate her to wanting to get rid of the savings account in order to pay off the debt. I think it's going to be some sort of your why needs to be stronger.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first off, we didn't really get in any goals, which, doesn't really help me much, but I'm going to go with this. She did say she wants to get rid of this stuff so she can buy a house, right? Now, I'm going to tell her you don't necessarily need to get rid of these debts to buy a house. Now, the car and the student loan debts are low interest debts. Right? Now, if this was like a credit card where she owed 18% on that, I'd be like, yeah, let's focus on getting rid of that, right? Because that's going to drain you out financially. But since it's a car, I'm guessing it's probably not more than 3.5% for somebody who she makes $71,000. She's single, right? She's a good saver, and her only other one was the student loan debt, and that's a low interest debt. Those are topped out right now at 4.9. So not terrible. I would say the strategy would be let's just get a plan to continue to save, right, for the down payment on the house. And then while we're doing that, let's take another chunk of money from that and let's throw it at the debt to try and get it down. But let's focus on maybe getting the debt paid off in 10 years or 5 years or whatever it is, as opposed to paying it off immediately. So, which is my guess of what Dave's going to do. So we can jump into that real quick.
All right, let's check it out.
All right. I got to fix this because I keep doing it. All right.
You pay off the house someday, right?
Yes.
So could I correct you gently and say your end goal is not debt free? Your goal is to be debt free so that your end goal is to build wealth.
Yes.
So the shortest distance between you and wealth is to be debt free, so that you can use your income to get you a home.
And see, now I would want to know what do you mean by build wealth? I would ask that question. What is wealthy to you? Right? Because it's not going to be the same for everybody.
I mean, you can use your income to build wealth in your retirement funds. Agreed?
Yes.
And so, what's the shortest distance? Debt free, not a 2% savings account with security associated with it.
Yes.
But there is a bit of a tightrope here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're walking across the swinging bridge over the ravine because you're single and you've been broke before and it scares you. I know the feeling. I've been scared too. You know those swinging bridges? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. It's kind of how it feels when you take your whole $26,000 and you plunk it down on your card and your student loans, and oh my goodness, takes your breath away. You feel like you're
I
the shortest.
I would be falling with nothing underneath me. So is it that I just pay off my car? I mean,
So she just hit the fucking nail on the head there. If he said take 27, plunk it down on the card and the student loan. It's still not going to wipe out all the debt, right? So now she's in a position where her savings is gone, right? This is where I freak out as a financial planner with a client, because what happens? Okay, Monique, we're going to dump it all at the debt, right? And oops, you got sick or you broke your leg or something happens. You can't work for the next 3 months. Oh shit, the car broke down. I need money to pay for the car and you don't have it. So now what are we doing? We're taking out credit or we're borrowing money. So now we're creating more debt.
So we're creating more debt. And while I'm actually not really a fan of much of any debt, even low interest debt, to be honest, I'm definitely on team get rid of the debt. But then we're creating more debt that's at a higher interest rate. So it's debt that is going to pile up even faster than the debt you already had. So, I mean, it's not the best setup for success here.
No. And the strategy behind it that he's going to push, which because he always does, is if you get rid of the debt, then you have more money left over at the end of the month. You can save more, right? And that's going to translate to you becoming richer faster. That's his concept. What the problem is his concept is wrong. It doesn't. And I can show that, but I'd explain that to the client. All right.
I'm going to throw out there that I'm a little surprised he didn't get into the why thing. Historically, when people have struggled to want to use savings or investments in order to pay off debt, he really gets into their motivation for why they want to be debt free.
Yeah, but the motive
here, so I'm actually a little bit surprised at him. But now, whether I agree with his strategy or not, I don't know. In any given circumstance, that might change. But at least by getting into the thing with the why, you get a little bit more into what the person's goals are too. And we didn't find out much from her about those goals.
No, he skimmed right through it, and his whole thing is, okay, you want to build wealth, and then she brought up, well, I'd like to buy a house here.
So, Duncan, would you say when you're doing a financial plan with somebody, understanding what their goals are and why their goals are is sort of critical to helping them to develop a plan? Because
we're going to get into that in a second, but that's the most important step, is the very first one, right? Which is getting a sense of what is it we're actually trying to accomplish, right? And I'll get into that and some of the theory behind it, but we'll finish this real quick and then I'll show you why I think it's bad, but...
I could pay off the car, but I wouldn't have enough to pay off the student loan. So should I just do the $14,000 car and then do as much as I can to pay off the student loan?
Okay, let me give you two answers. All right, answer number one is what I would do if I woke up in your shoes, and what we recommend in the Total Money Makeover book is throw the whole $26,000 at your debt, which would be pay off the car, have $1,000 in the account. That scares you to death. You can't even breathe with me saying it right now. Okay, I understand. I got you back. I'm gonna catch you when you fall. It's okay. So anyway, you're not gonna pass out too bad here on the radio. So you're gonna pay off the car, and then we would throw the other $12,000 at the $34,000 student loan, having $22,000 left. How fast you gonna pay off 22 if you're making 71?
A year, some change.
How about 6 months?
What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, it's $2,000 a month. Well, $2,000 a month does it in a year.
How does he get that number? She's going to pay 34 down to 22, and then she's going to pay the 22,000 off in 6 months. That's insane. That's like 3,000, 4,000 a month.
I mean, it would be phenomenal to be able to do that, but
She doesn't make that much money.
yeah.
I don't know what the fuck. I can tell you this. I've been working on this for a while, boys and girls. We'll release this when it's done. It's probably gonna take another month or two, but I have a bunch of clips called "Financial Expert Dave Ramsey Fucks Up Basic Math." It's already 2 minutes, and they're just little like 10, 20-second clips of him doing shit like this. So this will be in there. You can pay that off in 6 months. No, you can't. That's amazing to me. He just talks right out of his ass.
Here, $3,000 a month does it in 6 months. That's probably where you are. You probably
3,000. First off, 3,000 times 6 is 18. She owes 22 plus interest. So I don't know what. Once again, that's stupid.
You're not doing anything else right now. You're not going out to eat. You're not going on vacation because we have a big goal. The big goal is to be debt free, so that we can buy a house, so that we can fund our retirement, so that we can retire with dignity and change our family tree. You got a big goal that's bigger than eating out or going on vacation right now. Agreed?
Yes, agreed.
Okay. So that's the answer. Is what I would do. Now, what are you likely to do? Because this is freaking you out.
So I just did this real quick. So Monique left my office, right? After she left my office, I'd have done something like this, where I'd have gone, okay, what's the scenario, right? Talking about a woman who wants to buy a house. She's trying to pay off her debt. I would assume the debt as this, right? I would get more information in our second meeting. I asked her to bring all that information with her.
Right, so we're assuming probably roughly what her interest rates would be based on
current
rates.
Current rates, yeah. I'm guessing when she left school it was probably 4.8. So the car loan. So if she pays the car loan, and I just did the math for you so we don't have to get too in the weeds here, she'd save $768 in interest. Car loans are usually 3 years, or 3 to 6 years, right? So she could get it paid in 3. She'd save $760 in interest, right? And then she pays $12,000 of the student debt with the remaining $26,000, right? So the 26, she's going to pay 14, get rid of the car, right? First off, I wouldn't have done this. This is Dave's plan. I would have been like, look, if you want to throw it at the debt, we should throw the 26 at the student loan because it's the higher interest, right? I also wouldn't recommend that because it's going to kill her credit, but oh well. Because if you pay kids, just FYI, children, if you pay down big debts like that real fast, it's going to eat away at your credit. We covered this in the last video because you're bad to borrow to, or you're bad to loan to, right? You're a bad borrower because I'm not going to get the interest because you paid it off too quick. So if you pay down your student loans ultra fast, it will eat your credit. I mean, by over 100 points usually. I've seen it eat people away to like 200 points. Their credits drop. They were 720, and the next thing they know, they're like 515 because they paid off their student debts in 2 years. So now, if you want to buy a house, now she's really in a shit position, right? Because now
As we both know, though, Dave is going to recommend that her credit score doesn't matter because he's going to recommend manual underwriting.
When manual,
we already know that that's the way he's going to.
Well, and here's the
solve that problem.
Here's the deal with a decent credit score right now. She gets a house. She probably get anywhere between probably 5 and 6% on the mortgage, right? And let's say it was a 30-year mortgage. Well, she'd probably do 15 because she's one of those people that just doesn't like debt. So let's say she gets 6% and she buys a $250,000 house. So let's see. She'd have ended up paying quite a bit in interest, probably about $200,000 in interest over that time period. Now, if she does manual underwriting, interest rate's probably going to be closer to 12. So now she's paying 2 to 3 times that, potentially. Manual underwriting is really freaking expensive because there's no real collateral or safety. As where if you go get a regular home loan that's backed by the government, the interest rates are lower. Why? Because if it's backed by Freddie Mae and Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, right? Then as a bank, when I give you the loan, if you fail to pay it, Uncle Sam's going to pay me back. So it's easier for me to sell it. It's easier for me to offload it. There's less risk. As opposed to if I'm manual underwrite it, it's just you. It's not getting backed by anybody. And what are you going to back it with? Your ability to work, your income? What if something happens to you? Much, much higher risk.
Right.
Right? It's the old-fashioned way of doing loans before the 50s. Yeah, nobody does that anymore. People do, but it's not smart. I'm just saying. So if her goal is to get a house, doing this method is going to screw her quicker. To pay this shit off too quickly is going to hurt her credit-wise. That would be my first argument, right? Plus, it's not an advantage. So she pays the $12,000 in student debt. Over 10 years of paying that debt, she'd have saved $1,851 in interest. So she saves about $2,500 plus $2,600 in interest payments. That's what she saves by dumping that $26,000 at it now. Okay, and then she pays the remaining student debt. You know, she pays $1,921 a month. I figured over a year because that's just doing it in 6 months is ridiculous. Plus, it's going to be tough because she makes $71,000, so her rough take-home pay is going to be about $4,675 a month. Oh, there I did it right here. $4,674 per month before the payment. So almost 40% of her money is going just to pay the student loan, assuming she can do that and she's living on.
Possible depending on living expenses, but we don't know that. Like we don't really know.
Can she live on $2,700 a month?
Any of that business either.
Plus, is she likely to do that if she can't eat, have fun? She's just going home and staring at the wall and eating TV dinners. Plus, she sounds like a younger woman. I mean, she's single. It's like, well, you can't date now because you have no money. I mean, come on. But yeah, so the whole thing is she'd save $4,553 in interest over the 10 years. So her total savings in 10 years would have been $7,100 over 10 years. So about $700 a year, right? So that was one thing, okay? But she has to give up her savings and her safety net, which means she's going to be in deep shit for a while until this all gets paid off and she can save money back. A simple counter argument, not that I've had the opportunity to make an actual plan, but just a simple counter plan here, is she just pays the debt off over 10 years. So the car pays off within 3, and then she pays the rest of the student loans over 10, right? So while she's doing that, she invests the $26,000, and I'm giving 6% returns because I'm being really conservative, right?
Right, you're being super conservative there.
Well, yeah, because Dave will tell you it's 12, but right now the average on the S&P is 8, so I'm going to go with 6 just to be safe because I don't like to overpromise people. All right, so her 10-year investment would be worth $46,562. So that's what she'd have made over 10 years on that 6% investment. Mm-hmm. So she's got a net gain of $20,500, right? So she's net $13,390 more than Dave's plan because she has to pay the interest, but she netted $20,000 over the $7,000 in interest she paid. Right? So this was a better strategy. Okay? And she doesn't have to give up her safety net. So she has that money if something goes wrong. And she's still getting it all paid off in 10 years. Right?
And furthermore, if something does not go wrong, she actually nets more money.
Right. Now, Dave's argument would be, go ahead.
Does go wrong, she doesn't have to go into higher interest debt in order to solve a potential problem.
Right. Now, his counter argument is, well, she'll start saving that money once she pays off the debts, right? So I figured, okay, once the debts are paid, she starts saving that money over the 10 years. So once the car is paid, she saves that and the student loan, et cetera, right? And I also gave him 6% because, I want to do apples to apples here, to be fair. So over 10 years, she'd have saved $137,896 in investments under Dave's plan if she did that. But then she wouldn't ever be improving her lifestyle. She'd just be kind of living on that money, right? She'd improve it a little bit, but not much. So,
Sure.
well, let's do this. She takes the 1920 and she uses part of it to pay the loan and part of it to save. So now I've given her a third option, right? So she's taking part of that money to pay the loan and part of it she's saving, that 1921. Okay, so the car payment is $410 a month. I've got right here, $410 a month. Over 3 years, she pays $14,768. Okay, so the $14,000 car payment plus the interest, right? Student loan payment, I figured was $511 a month. She pays that off in 6.6 years. So she's taking $921, this $921 out of the $1,000 to pay off her debts, right? She's going to take $500 a month instead of this extra grand. She's going to take $500, and she's going to invest that savings over the first 3 years while she's paying off the car, right? So now she has an extra $500 a month, more than Dave's plan, so she can, she can have more fun and enjoy her life, right? So just to clarify this, I am giving Dave a huge bonus here because under my third plan, instead of her throwing all the money at it, I'm telling her, use an extra $500 a month on yourself. Go have some fun, go to the movies, hang out with friends, save that up for a couple months, take a trip, blah, blah, blah. But you have an extra $500 a month. So your quality of life doesn't have to fucking be, you don't have to just be going home and staring at the wall or watching.
And eating hot ramen.
Right, or watching Lifetime or whatever the fuck it is. You can actually go out and have some fun. Right? So you're not freaking miserable over the next 3 years just to pay off this debt. Especially if you're a younger person. I'm sorry, you're not going to get your 20s or your 30s back. It's better to eat some of the money. Because it's like, oh, yeah, but old you is going to appreciate it. I'm like, yeah, but old me is going to be too old to fucking use it. So
you want old you and young you to have a good life.
Right, yeah. Right, so I'm rich, but I'm 70. Meh. Doesn't really do much. So she takes $500, and then after she pays off the car, she takes that $410 she was paying on the car. She adds it, so now we're paying $1,000 towards the student loans, right? And we're increasing it to $1,000, the savings. Sorry, we take the extra $410 plus, but we're still paying off the student loan at $511. So over 10 years, she'll have $176,000 saved in investments, and she gets to live at a higher standard of living through this whole 10 years, and she never gets rid of her emergency money. As we're in Dave's plan, she gets rid of her emergency money, has the lower standard of living, and can only save $137,000 over that 10 years. So I kicked the shit out of him by almost $40K, and it's better for the client overall.
Well, and there's a quality of life factor. There's no wrong choice. The client can choose which way they want to go, and if her priority really becomes to get out of debt faster and she doesn't mind sacrificing that, fine. But I don't know. I might be inclined to want to have a bit of quality of life now too.
Well, yeah, and it's like you never know. Maybe you meet somebody, you want to get married, you never know. A lot of things can happen, right? So it's better to have some flexibility and options than not. And so if she gets rid of the $26,000, she starts throwing all of her extra money at the debt. Okay, she can get the debt paid off in a few years, right? But then the idea is to catch up on her savings. She's now going to take all that money she was paying towards the debt and throw it into savings. And it's like, and while you're doing that, over the years you're doing that, you're not living a much better lifestyle. You're not out meeting a lot of people. You're not enjoying your youth. I mean, there's a other factor here. So in Dave's plan, no quality of life, get rid of all the savings, pay off the debt early, right? And in the end, you get whatever, the 137,000 after 10 years. My plan, 10-year plan, alternative plan that I slapped together. This is not like an in-depth financial plan. This is just me slapping shit together over 5 minutes. But my plan, higher standard of living because you have extra money every month. You don't get rid of your savings. So you always have your savings in case something goes wrong, so less risk. And you end up with $176,000 over 10 years. So I think that's a TKO right there.
Now,
I think I got the knockout on the cage match.
yeah, you might have just done that, you know. And one thing that I like about your plan here is that under your plan, one could argue that there's less of a chance the client goes back into debt, while they get out of debt less quickly because that savings didn't fully go away. Like maybe we're investing some of it or whatever, but because it doesn't fully go away and we don't completely stop saving, the client is more likely to stay out of debt because any situation that comes up isn't going to get thrown on a high interest credit card. So they're not going to keep sliding back.
Right. Well, next time I'll take my shirt off and wear shorts and gloves and when I take him down.
Give us the victory lap.
Yeah, we'll do the cage thing. We'll do it. You know what? We should clip in like an opening of like two nerds fighting in a cage.